You're listening to the Chad Hasty Show on demand. Good for you. Now download the KFYO app and listen live weekday afternoons 5 to 7 p.m. Central.
Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is the Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
Lubbock, Amarillo, Abilene, Wichita Falls, Midland, Odessa, Dallas, Fort Worth, down in Houston, over in El Paso, and anywhere else inside or outside the great state of Texas, wherever you may be listening on this Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. We welcome you into the program today as we have just a jam-packed show, quite a bit to get into. We want to hear from you about as well throughout the show. Between the next 2 hours, we want to hear from you on all the big topics of the day, your thoughts on J.D. Vance being named the VP under Donald Trump. What do you think? I want to hear from you on his selection as you got to learn a little bit more yesterday about J.D. Vance and more today, I'm sure. What are your thoughts? Do you like J.D. Vance? Are you excited about the pick? Not happy about the pick? Not really caring because you're voting for Trump no matter what? So it doesn't really matter who Trump picked. What do you think? Also, are you watching any of the RNC convention? Did you watch any last night? Tonight's a big night. Lots of big speakers that we'll go through a little bit later and let you know who all is going to be speaking this evening at the RNC in Milwaukee. We've also got some statewide news. We have the latest on the attempted assassination of Donald Trump to get into. And we've got Joe Biden. He's out there. He's back on the campaign trail. He was speaking to the NAACP earlier today, just less than an hour ago, speaking to the NAACP in Nevada and saying that Trump presents a threat to the United States, that there's something wrong with Donald Trump. I mean, the gloves are coming off. I told you yesterday, this is why you can't give in to when the Democrats call for cooler heads and less rhetoric and lighter rhetoric to be used, because they're not going to give up on it. And Joe Biden did not wait really even 72 hours before he started calling Donald Trump a threat to democracy once again in the United States. So we've got all of that to get into on the show today. Your phone calls, your text messages throughout the program. We want to hear from you. You can sound off again on any topic that's out there, anything that you want to talk about. Feel free to get in touch with us as well. How do you get in touch? Well, it's pretty simple. You can text in at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. When you text in, let us know who you are, where you're listening from. That way we can give you a nice little shout out. You can also call in at 1-800-687-0790. That's 1-800-687-0790. The first voice you hear from today when you dial in, I think he's having an okay day. I'm not real sure. Nick, the first voice you hear from, are you doing okay, Nick?
I'm doing okay. I usually have a reasoning for how I'm feeling. It's this type of day or this happened, but I have nothing. It is I have no excuse today to justify how I'm feeling.
You've got nothing.
I've got nothing. Yeah, it's just a day today.
Your AC is still on the fritz.
My AC is quite on the fritz.
Yeah.
But see, I'm narrowing things down, which is always good. So I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah.
As far
which
as
again is not really your job. Like
no, when you're renting.
Yeah.
No, I mean if I'm the one that caused it.
Yeah.
Then that's my responsibility.
Yeah. But you're helping when it seems as though, and I don't want to say for certain or anything, but it seems like your landlord just doesn't want to spend any money and is like, yeah, we'll get to you when we get to you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I get it. I understand. I mean, I'm sure it can be expensive.
Yes.
Doing all, changing that and anything with the AC unit or HVAC, anything. That's a pricey price tag there.
Yeah.
But coming home when it's 84 degrees in the house, and some days opening the door and there's no change in temperature whatsoever, that gets a little tough.
Aren't you going to like 2 weeks of this?
Actually, this is much longer than 2 weeks. There was a little hiatus where it did work.
You are much more patient than I.
Well, some people prefer a warmer house. So what helps me...
Not you.
No, not me.
Yeah.
But what helps me cope with it is, hey, it's 84 degrees inside the house. Some people like their thermostats a little warm. Maybe not 84, but a little warm.
Sure.
So, this is not... I'm sure there's someone out there who likes a good between 80 and 83, 84 degree home. Again, I'm not one of them. I don't want that. I like cool. I like 68. 69 maybe, but right now I'm keeping it at 72 per the request of my landlord. When this first started. Weeks ago. And here we are.
And it's about 84, 85 probably?
Right now, probably. Well, last night I was tinkering with it. And it got up to 86.
Oh.
Last night, 86 degrees.
Nice.
A brisk 86 in the house. But then, and see, this is what's the mystery. Sometime in the night, I don't know when. Is it 1 a.m.? Is it 5 a.m.? I don't know. But it kicks on. So it's clearly a schedule-related thing.
Yeah.
But I look at the schedule. On the programmable thermostat, every single element that I can affect every day, every time of the day throughout the week, because there's like 3 separate settings for Monday through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's all set at 72. I programmed it specifically so that if it does anything, stay at 72. It still goes right up to 84, 85, 86 maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on.
Again, you are much more patient than I.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. No, you are.
The fans and cold showers really help.
Now, I probably would have been raising hell weeks ago.
See, I'm not a very confrontational person.
Right.
So that on top of me, I don't know. I feel bad for pestering the landlord.
You should not.
Like this.
You should not.
Just because it's like, I'm sure that he's thinking like, again, you got another thing that you, what's going on over there? What are you doing over there?
That's, they are landlords, so it's part of the gig.
I know, but I don't want her to think that we're like trashing the house and sabotaging the thermostat. But I don't know. It gets old. It gets real tiring.
Yeah.
But I sleep with a fan a foot from me on full blast, and hey, I that barely is enough to make me go to sleep. So, we move on to another day of 86 degrees, and we keep fighting.
Here's what you should do.
Yeah,
you should go to the thermostat, and if you want to reset it with a hammer,
right,
and just knock the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And then when they come in and go, well, what happened? You'd be like, I don't know.
I woke up to this. I don't know.
This happened on its own.
Yeah.
It exploded.
I reset it. That's all you got to say. I reset it.
And then it did this. I woke up the next day. I guess it melted. Yeah. I'm not real sure.
That can be my last resort. You know, if this
you're pretty close to your last resort, Nick. You've been dealing with this for, again, 3 to 4 weeks now.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. This would, You're very, very patient.
Well, that's me. You know, I'm a very patient guy. So, you know, this just proves it. You know, my any chance to prove my superiority over others, I'll take it.
So you're looking forward to the cold front that's going to be coming through in the next few days.
Definitely, because if my house is going to mirror the outside temperatures, I would much rather it be cooler.
Yeah,
outside.
Sure.
Because if my house is just going to randomly decide to not work, then you know what? Okay, I'll open a window or two when it cools down. It'll be nice.
Let's see, Kendra. I'm convinced someone somewhere with ERCOT is messing with our programmable thermostats. It would not be ERCOT. That if you signed over your thermostat to a power company, then they could mess with your thermostat. But only they kind of let you know that. 2, they bump it up to like 75 degrees, and then after that is when it falls.
Well, it just dawned on me. Our landlord did switch energy providers.
Yeah.
Recently.
But is yours a smart?
No.
So there you go. So you don't know.
Hey, there could be some other funny business going on.
From what I know, it's mostly the smart thermostats, that are over Wi-Fi.
That work?
That work.
Yeah.
And that's where on some days where the electric, when they're in a conservation mode, that's when some of these companies can that you sign up with and they send you their programmable deal. That's when they can take over your thermostat. But again, they can't bump it up to like 85 degrees. They're not doing that. They're bumping it up. They're bumping it up to like 75, 80 degrees.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there's someone in the walls messing with me. I have no idea. We had someone look at it, or my landlord sent someone to look at it about 2 weeks ago. And it worked great. It worked for a week. We were great. It felt awesome, nice and cool inside, and then all of a sudden it jumped right back up again.
Just nothing at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Again, you're much more patient than I am because again, I would have taken at least a hammer to it by now and dealt with it. 806-680-2790. When we come back, we'll get into some of the news of the day, your phone calls, and the latest with that shooter from Saturday. We'll be right back.
It's burning through to my soul. Girl, you're gonna set me on fire.
The Titan of Texas Talk Radio. Chad Hasty.
Talking with newsmakers and about the issues that matter to you. The Chad Hasty Show. Weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Chad's show is also digital with the Chad Hasty Show podcast. The Chad Hasty Show podcast can be downloaded on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and the Radio On Demand page at KFYO.com. The Chad Hasty Show. All across Texas during your drive home. Weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, day 3 of the RNC, bringing you all of the latest for the party. What's going on here? Clay, the guest list is phenomenal. Give us some of what we got.
Stacked. You will barely be able to keep up. David Sachs, one of Elon's top assistants. Dave McCormick running in Pennsylvania. Senator Haggerty. Senator Sullivan. We are going to be having a heck of a time. Wednesday edition. Come hang with us on Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Tomorrow morning at 11.
welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Appreciate you being out there. You can send in your thoughts on the text line, 806-680-2790. Some folks throwing some legal advice towards Nick, and I think that if you really want to move your landlord, that's what you start doing. You start throwing some of the legal stuff out there. Bring up an attorney. That's how they get moving. 806-680-2790. You can text in. The story out of the Washington Post. Joe Biden set to announce support for major Supreme Court changes. President Biden is now finalizing plans to endorse major changes towards the U.S. Supreme Court in the coming weeks, including proposals for legislation to establish term limits for the justices and an enforceable ethics code, according to two people briefed on the plans. He's also weighing whether to call for a constitutional amendment to eliminate broad immunity for presidents and other constitutional office holders, the people said, speaking on condition of anonymity. The announcement would mark a major shift for Biden, former chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, who has long resisted calls for reform to the High Court. The potential changes come in response to growing outrage among his supporters about recent ethics scandals surrounding Judge Clarence Thomas and decisions by the new majority court that have changed legal precedent on issues including abortion and federal regulatory powers. Biden previewed the shift in a Zoom call Saturday with Congressional Progressive Caucus members. Quote, I'm going to need your help on the Supreme Court. I'm about to come out. I don't want to prematurely announce it, but I'm about to come out with a major initiative on limiting the court. I've been working with constitutional scholars for the last 3 months, and I need some help, Biden said. Many, if not all the changes, would probably need congressional approval. The details of Biden's considered policies have not been completely disclosed. Biden's private remarks about the high court plans come more than 2 weeks after his confused performance at a June 27 debate with Trump, which prompted calls from some Democrats to have him step aside. So here you have Joe Biden, who is now attacking the U.S. Supreme Court, which we knew the Democrats have, they've long done it, but they are now 100% all in on attacking the U.S. Supreme Court. Joe is leading the charge, and this is one of those deals where you should be very worried about this. Because while it may not pass right now, this is something that Joe wants to do in the future. And if the Democrats control the House, they control the Senate, if they control the White House, they're going to go after the U.S. Supreme Court and do everything they can do to destroy this version of the Supreme Court. And why? Because they don't like it. Because they don't like the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling on Roe v. Wade. It has nothing to do, by the way, with Clarence Thomas. It has nothing to do with which flag Samuel Alito has flying outside his home. It's about Roe v. Wade. It's about the Second Amendment. They're worried that the Supreme Court is going to go against the Democrats on the Second Amendment. They want to do everything they can do because they're not satisfied with winning at the ballot box. You know, elections have consequences. Donald Trump won. Ruth Bader Ginsburg stayed way too long on the U.S. Supreme Court. Decisions have consequences. And again, if there's any applause to give to Mitch McConnell, it was that he waited and he played the long game on the U.S. Supreme Court. And conservatives should be thankful for that. But now you have a president who wants to go out and completely destroy the U.S. Supreme Court and how it runs right now, because he just doesn't like them. And so this is definitely something that needs to be brought up during the campaign. I'm sure it will. But this is going to be Joe's way of trying to reach out to the average American out there who may be upset about Roe v. Wade. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Some of the news out there regarding the attempted assassination on Donald Trump. I mean, the more that comes out, the story gets crazier and crazier. The Secret Service is now saying that they ramped up security prior to Saturday because of an Iranian plot to assassinate Trump. That was ramped up security on Saturday? Really? Well, that's no good. We'll be right back.
Call in to the Chad Hasty Show at 1-800-687-0790. The Chad Hasty Show, broadcasting on the Texas Town Square Media Network.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Oh, I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
A tornado is on the ground. You're at work, your spouse is at a meeting, the kids are at 3 different schools. Power and cell are out, and your home is inaccessible. Now what? Have a preset meetup plan. Share it with everyone in your family and practice it. Know the emergency plans at work and school, too. Get ahead of what's ahead. Be informed, make a plan, build a kit. Hashtag Texas Ready. Go to txready.org for more information.
The news and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. Chad Hasty, talking the news at the start, middle, and end of your drive home, and when news breaks. This is the Chad Hasty Show.
Back on the Chad Hasty Show. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Hey, let's see some texts coming in on the Supreme Court. Supreme Court justices better watch out. Joe may have them shot. Well, remember, there's already been an attempt on one of the Supreme Court justices' lives, Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, that's the political the political violence in this country. Is absolutely coming from the left. And it doesn't take a lot to see that. Now I had another texter who said Sleepy Joe just said that the George Floyd protests were peaceful. Can you really blame Joe for that? I mean, those were years ago. The guy can't remember yesterday. He doesn't know. He doesn't remember if the George Floyd protest. He doesn't even remember George Floyd. He can't remember. Because it would be insane for anyone to say that the George Floyd protests were peaceful. Absolutely insane. On the Supreme Court, Paul out in Post, who's your fascist dictator now? On the Supreme Court issue, Crooked Joe just can't get out of office fast enough. And letting a 20-year-old kid within 150 yards of the former president is messed up security. That from William in Petersburg. Oh, well, here's the latest on that. The building, the building that the would-be assassin fired his shots from, we had heard that it was a police staging building. It was actually, there were actually police snipers inside the building as the Trump rally shooter fired from the roof. That according to the Washington Post. Local police who were assigned by the Secret Service to help spot threats in the crowd were inside the building where a gunman had positioned himself on the roof to shoot at the former president, according to a Secret Service official briefed on the incident. From inside the AGR International building, they spotted a man acting oddly, walking back and forth around the building with some gear, and radioed a Secret Service command post to alert them. An official said, speaking on condition of anonymity. The revelations add to the growing list of questions about the Secret Service plan for securing areas outside the perimeter. That's not outside the perimeter. I keep on hearing that the building was outside the perimeter. That's a hell of a small perimeter that you're setting up if a building 130 yards away is outside the perimeter. If you go to any rally, I remember going to the Trump rally in Dallas, and you had Secret Service agents all over the place in downtown Dallas. You could look up, you could see them on the roofs, you could see they were just all over the place. And he wasn't doing an outdoor rally, he was doing an indoor rally, but you could see even inside the arena. There were Secret Service agents all over the place. The Washington Post reported Monday that bystanders at the Trump rally warned local police they saw a man climbing onto the roof of a building. A video posted to social media shows one man shouting, "Officer, officer," as others point to the building. "He's on a roof," a woman yells. The account from the Secret Service official underscores emerging tensions between the agency and local authorities over who is to blame for the fact that the gunman was able to access a clear view of the event. At the end of the day, the Secret Service is in charge. Now, they may have put the local police in charge of a building or two, but who is ultimately responsible at keeping the former president, a protectee, safe? It's the U.S. Secret Service. The Secret Service, they were responsible for the overall security plan, but the agency says that it's relied on local law enforcement in areas outside the security perimeter. The AGR building was not inside the perimeter, which required members of the public to pass through a metal detector before entering. And again, why was a building 130 yards away, why was that not inside the perimeter? Again, anyone with some training on a rifle could hit a target 130 yards away. Now, sure, there are things that come into play when you're aiming at somebody's head. It's not like you're sitting, downrange of a metal target and just having some fun. There's differences. But I can't tell you how many people I have heard from. I've got an AR-15. I've gone in the range. I've hit targets from, more than 150 yards away. It's not, it's again, you scope everything in the right way, and it's not that hard to do. 150 yards is not a far shot. There are trained men and women who would laugh at a 150-yard shot. So a 150-yard shot, to me, that's not a long shot. That should be inside the perimeter of any Secret Service event. 150 yards away from where a stage is at should be inside the perimeter. The Secret Service official said the sniper team inside the building was from Beaver County, which neighbors Butler County, where Saturday's rally took place. Local authorities said it was common for SWAT teams in nearby counties to supplement security for large events throughout western Pennsylvania. The Beaver County District Attorney's Office confirmed that a SWAT team from the county was at Saturday's rally, but declined to release additional information. Richard Goldinger, Butler County District Attorney, said in an interview that SWAT teams from his jurisdiction were all inside the security perimeters. Quote, Secret Service was in charge. It was their responsibility to make sure the venue and surrounding area was secure. It's common sense, I think. That's their job. He added, for them to blame local law enforcement is them passing the blame when they hold the blame, in my opinion. The Secret Service counter sniper who killed the gunman, a 20-year-old, had him in his sights and was trying to assess whether he had a weapon and was a threat. Secret Service radio traffic had relayed that local police were either spotted or were trying to find a suspicious man around the building. The counter sniper was a veteran marksman who is considered a legend in the Secret Service because of his high ratings for accuracy at long distance. The counter sniper who killed Crooks fired as soon as he saw Crooks lift a weapon. The counter sniper killed Crooks in one shot, but seconds after he had fired at Trump. The Secret Service advanced security plan for addressing one of the main risks at the event, someone shooting from higher ground from the outside of the perimeter, was to have two teams of Secret Service counter snipers stationed in front of the crowd on the roofs of two barns behind Trump's stage. They said that the AGR building was a sloped building. The building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point. There's a safety factor that would be considered there. We wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof. So the decision was made to secure the building from the inside. How do you not have someone outside? Forget about having someone on top of the roof, which to me would make sense. How do you just not have a couple of cops outside making sure that no one is accessing the roof? Or how do you not have barricades around? This is what adds. And I had someone email me yesterday going, well, Chad, you're buying into conspiracy theories. Again, none of this adds up to make any sense whatsoever. If you were truly doing a secure job, you would block this area off. You would have vehicles surrounding this building to where nobody could get through easily. And instead, you had this 20-year-old who's able to maybe even bring his own ladder to get up on top of the building. Yeah, that's the latest, is that they're looking at a receipt or a trip that he took to Home Depot to see what exactly he bought and if he actually provided his own ladder to get on top of the building. But my goodness. And now we're hearing today that the Secret Service had actually improved and increased the protection around Trump because of the so-called Iranian plot against Donald Trump. If that's true, what was the security like before Saturday? Was it like 2 guys? 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. When we come back, your phone calls, your text, and more.
So I'd like to know where you got the notion. Said I'd like to know where you got the notion.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home. Weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, day 3 of the RNC, bringing you all of the latest for the party. What's going on here? Clay, the guest list is phenomenal. Give us some of what we got.
Stacked. You will barely be able to keep up. David Sachs, one of Elon's top assistants. Dave McCormick running in Pennsylvania. Senator Haggerty. Senator Sullivan. We are going to be having a heck of a time. Wednesday edition. Come hang with us on Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Tomorrow morning at 11.
To the Chad AC Show. Coming up in the next hour, we'll get a little bit into the RNC plans for tonight. Who's going to be speaking? Interested in, did anyone watch any of last night's RNC programming? Did you watch any of last night's speeches? You can text in. Let us know who you thought was interesting, who was not so interesting. You can text in. I did have on the app chat, somebody was asking about the, I guess she's a country music singer who did last night's national anthem at the All-Star Home Run Derby. Nick, did you hear this? It was bad. Do you remember the name of the singer? Ingrid something. I guess she's like a 4-time Grammy nominated singer, and it was a horrible rendition. And let's see, who was it? Ingrid Andress. I don't know who that is. Anyway, she, I guess she's a country music singer. I'm not real sure. But she announced today that she was drunk while singing the national anthem yesterday. And, she said she's going to be checking herself into rehab, which I guess, hey, if it takes you embarrassing yourself on national TV, singing the national anthem while drunk to recognize that you've got a problem, then okay, I guess that's what it is. Texture says they enjoyed the speech from the model. I think her name was Amber Rose, who spoke last night. Said that she's a very interesting person. She is, I mean, if you read her profile, she is not anyone that you would think is a conservative. She is at least in the past, a Satan worshiping, pro-choice model, who last night, I mean, she said that she was a very, very Amber Rose dated Kanye. Really? Nick, is that true? How do you know this? You Googled her. Okay. So she once dated Kanye. And, apparently she was very anti-Trump years ago. And then asked her dad, talked to her dad about Trump. And, she did her own research on Trump. And, now she's all in on MAGA. So, I mean, hey, I guess good for her. I'm telling you, the Democrats did not like her speaking. I saw on the X, a lot of Democrats very unhappy that she was speaking at the RNC. Rob saying that the national anthem sounded like she was tailgating all day and then tried to sing it. Well, that's basically what she did, it sounds like. Yeah. We'll be right back.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media. Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is the Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. You can send in your thoughts on the text line 806-680-2790. And, of course, you can weigh in on any of the topics that we've been getting into here on the program and weigh in on really anything we've been talking about the entire show today. One texter, Chad, I'm working hard myself on not falling into the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories and the tinfoil hat stuff. But seriously, if this 20-year-old brought his own ladder and outsmarted what should be some of the best security game in the world, something is just not adding up here. And even if he didn't bring his own ladder, there's a lot that's just, to me, there's just not a lot that's adding up to make me go, okay, well, this makes sense. It was just a lapse in security. And yeah. Let's see some other text messages coming in. What about the Teamsters Union guy? Yeah, that was interesting. That was an interesting speech, and I've got to be honest. I really wish, and I know they're trying to. Last night was about the everyday man, the everyday woman, trying to appeal to a larger tent, if you will. If you were just tuning in and, you know, you heard Amber Rose, okay, well, she gave a pretty good speech, and then you went to the Teamsters guy, I mean, you probably tuned out pretty quick. He did not hold my attention very well. I got very, very bored with the Teamsters guy. I thought Tim Scott may have had one of the best speeches of the evening. I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but he had one of the best speeches of the evening. And again, Tim Scott he's a really good speaker, and he can really work the crowd, and he is going to be someone who is really good for Donald Trump on the campaign trail. The left has been attacking Amber Rose all day. Well, of course, and they're going to attack her. They're absolutely going to attack her all day. Have you seen the amount of people that have been called out by libs of TikTok? They're killing businesses, getting them fired. Many of teachers indoctrinating kids. Yeah, I follow them on social media. Let's see. The decision was made to secure the building from the inside may well have been the lamest non-answer in all American politics. Kimberly Cheadle, DEI hire, right up there with KJP. And from Max Stout in Flagstaff. Oh, I love Flagstaff. Great little town. Loved it. It's been a while since I have visited, but my wife and I have absolutely loved the few times that we've stopped and stopped for a day or two in Flagstaff. Great place. Texture, that poor girl, bless her heart. Personally, I sing better when I'm drunk. I wonder how bad she sounds sober. Texture, I did watch Trump walk through the tunnel and out to the stadium. I did get a bit emotional. There again, I'm old enough to remember where I was when JFK was murdered in Dallas, and enough years have passed where most of us know who actually was involved in his assassination. And from Paul, it was. I mean, how could you not get a little bit emotional? I mean, I didn't cry or anything, but it was something pretty awesome to see Trump come out last night, and you could tell that he was feeling it. I was flipping between CNN and Fox just to see what their commentary was, and the folks on CNN were they weren't really gushing over Trump, but it was one of those, wow, he seems to be really taking all of this in, and he seems changed, and he seems, which, again, how could he not, he's got to be thankful. I mean, you have to be. You go through, you're shot through your ear, millimeters away from death. I mean, how could you not just be thankful for, have a renewed look on life and a renewed look on everything. And then that's kind of how it's like he was just soaking it all in. Another texture, Chad, have you heard any discussion about a second shooter from the water tower? I looked on Google Earth. The water tower is about twice the distance from where the shooter was, but apparently had a clear view of the podium. Yes, I have heard that, but again, Trump was hit from the side, not in the front, and I have not seen anything substantive on, the whole water tower discussion. I think people, when it comes to, where bullets were coming from, and, I think some people are not always able to say exactly where they heard gunfire from, in those moments. But I haven't seen anything that would tell me there was a second shooter or there was a shooter on the water tower. Haven't seen anything that would convince me of that. Instead, I mean, the rabbit hole that I go down on this is that there's more to the story of this shooter and of the quote unquote lapse in security, if there was truly a lapse in security. And again, I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope it was just a lapse in security, but I have a hard time believing that. Just because I have been to places where you have the Secret Service, and it is locked down. Even 150 yards away, venues are locked down. Any place that has a tall vantage point, the Secret Service has taken over that area. The Secret Service, when they go into an area, they have been there for days, if not weeks, if not months, scouting out all these places. (806-680-2790). That's 806-680-2790. I think Trump is probably taking out antibiotics, probably some pain medication. I wonder if that's why he was more somber than usual. And that's probably the guy's got to be tired, right? A little bit. And yeah, he's probably on, probably on some pain medication. You could tell he was having a good time, but I'm sure he was also just taking it all in and thinking, my God, 2 days ago, I could have been dead. And so, that would make anybody a little bit somber. Is just, you're showing up to a place that, if not by the grace of God, you wouldn't be. You were shot. And, it's, again, I think Trump was just probably taking it all in. Yes, probably on medication. But at the same time, I think he's going to be, probably a little raucous and very happy to, make a speech come Thursday. Let's see. Chad, not sure if you've discussed this or not. Not sure the VP's spouse has tremendous influence. What are your thoughts on Usha? Is it Usha? I gotta figure out her name. Background seems quite liberal, maybe trying to pull votes. I haven't seen her complete background, to be honest with you. I don't think she's liberal. She may be a little bit more liberal than her husband. That wouldn't be anything new at all in U.S. history, where the wife is a little bit more liberal than the husband is. If it's a Republican ticket, I mean, Laura Bush was more liberal than her husband. If you look at the Trumps, the women in the family are a little bit more liberal than the men. So, I wouldn't put too much stock into it. I'm not worried about J.D. Vance, not being conservative, if that's what you're asking. Now, could she pull some votes from the left? Probably not. Only because no one's going to be voting for VP. And not many people know the wife of the VP. I mean, they just don't. And so I don't think that I don't think she's going to be able to pull any votes for Donald Trump. Now, again, if she's a great speaker, and from the things that I have read about her, she's very smart, very bright. Yeah, she should be out of the campaign trail. But no one's going to vote for Trump because of her. I highly, highly doubt it. Texture, I noticed the media on the left was unusually kind to Trump last night. What I suspect is, this is a new narrative, they'll say this incident has changed Trump. It's humbled him. He's a different man. It gives him a way to put more pressure on Biden to withdraw. Let me tell you, they were nice yesterday. Today they're starting to turn. I noticed it. I was watching a little bit of CNN earlier today, and Van Jones had already started racking up about how mean Trump has been. And let me tell you, the CNN and MSNBC anchors, do not expect them to be pro-Trump. Do not expect them to embrace Trump. Once, and Joe's already out there, accusing Trump of being a dictator. The media is going to go right with him. The media will not be by the end of the week, probably by the end of tonight, the news media that you thought was kind to Trump, they will turn. They will absolutely turn. One more text before we go to the break. Did you see CNN anchor lose it when she was interviewing Corey Mills, said that it could very well be an inside job? I did not see that. But there were, the same texter says they weren't Secret Service. In Pennsylvania, they were U.S. Marine. No, there was Secret Service in Pennsylvania. 806-680-2790. When we come back, we'll get into a little bit of the RNC night number 2. It's underway right now. Who's going to be speaking? We'll get into that and much more.
The Titan of Texas Talk Radio, Chad Hasty.
Talking with newsmakers and about the issues that matter to you. The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Chad's show is also digital with the Chad Hasty Show podcast. The Chad Hasty Show podcast can be downloaded on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and the Radio On Demand page at KFYO.com. The Chad Hasty Show, all across Texas during your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, day 3 of the RNC, bringing you all of the latest for the party. What's going on here? Clay, the guest list is phenomenal. Give us some of what we got.
Stacked. You will barely be able to keep up. David Sachs, one of Elon's top assistants. Dave McCormick running in Pennsylvania. Senator Haggerty. Senator Sullivan. We are going to be having a heck of a time. Wednesday edition. Come hang with us on Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Tomorrow morning at 11.
Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Appreciate you being out there. You can send in your thoughts on the text line 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Let's see. Trump may have a different appearance because he's all muzzle flash at shot at him. Yeah, could be. All right, let's see. Day 2 of the RNC. It's happening right now. Tonight, some of the speakers. It's a really good lineup of speakers, by the way, that'll be taking the stage after 7 p.m. You'll have Elise Stefanik, who will be speaking at just a little bit after 7 p.m. our time. Steve Scalise will be speaking. At about 7:33, Vivek Ramaswamy will be speaking. Savannah Crisley, reality TV star. Not sure who that is. At 7:48. Then there's coming up at 8:18, Nikki Haley will be speaking to the crowd. She won't be speaking very long, though. She speaks at 8:18, and then at 8:24, Governor Ron DeSantis will be speaking. And you've got some other speakers who will be mixed in there. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, the 9 o'clock hour, this is going to be some good speech for the political nerds out there. For all of us who are political nerds, get ready. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders will be speaking at 9:14. And at about 9:20, Ben Carson, Marco Rubio at 9:30, and then finally Laura Trump will wrap things up. If I had to guess, the Trump family and J.D. Vance will probably arrive a little bit before 9 p.m. If I had to guess. So some really good speakers tonight. I'm looking forward to hearing from Ron DeSantis. I think he's going to be fun to hear from. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, big night for her. Dr. Ben Carson, always nice to hear from Dr. Ben Carson. And then Senator Marco Rubio getting a real nice speaking slot on this Tuesday evening. So that'll be rolling out today, and then tomorrow, of course, day 3, and tomorrow's when J.D. Vance will be giving his big speech. Really introduce himself to everybody in the U.S., at least those who are watching. 806-680-2790. You can send in your thoughts on the text line. Texter, I think we will see a more calm Trump, or calmed down Trump, from here on out, because he knows he's got a job to do. When we come back, much more of your text messages and phone calls on the Chad Hasty Show.
The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. Today's markets from the Texas Department of Ag.
Well, howdy, neighbors. Texas feeder cattle auctions were steady today, and cattle futures were mixed. August live cattle futures up 55 cents, closed at 182.67. August feeder cattle futures down 3 pennies. They closed at 258.62. July cotton futures are down, closing at 70.37. July wheat futures down a nickel to close at 5.50 a bushel. July corn up a nickel, closed at 3.95. And July soybean futures up 12 cents, closing at $10.90 a bushel. July soybean meal futures up $1.60 to close at $335.40 per ton. July class 3 milk futures up a dime to close at $19.79 a hundred. August crude oil futures down $1.07, close at $80.84 a barrel, and the Dow Jones is up to a new high, up 742 points, closed at 40,954. And that's market roundup from the Texas Department of Agriculture. I'm your commissioner, Sid Miller. And remember, friends, Texas agriculture matters. So.
The news and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. Don't you forget about Chad at Chad Hasty Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and on your radio. Now back to the Chad Hasty Show.
Well, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. You can find me on social media at Chad Hasty Radio, by the way, on the X, which I was just sent that Corey Mills interview from CNN. I haven't been able to watch, obviously, the entire thing. It's about 8 minutes long. But, you know, and again, the idea that this could have been a setup, I think a lot of people who view this with common sense look at it and go, wait a minute. And we, you know, it's just a feeling. It's just a feeling that, again, you've got these people who I believe will stop at nothing to stop Donald Trump. You have the FBI investigating, the DOJ investigating, you know, the same people who are trying to lock Trump up. That doesn't make any bit of sense whatsoever. How are they going to be independent on this? And again, a 20-year-old was able to defeat some of the, defeat some of the greatest security in the world. That's what we've been told. Is that the Secret Service? I mean, there's, you know, other than maybe the Israelis, there's no one who does it better than the U.S. Secret Service. Text that came in a little bit earlier there. Ben Runkles in Bovina. Dear Chad, hope you are well. Sorry about your DJ who is known AC. We get what we put up with in life. We are asked to believe one of two binary choices right now when it comes to the gross failure of the Secret Service. Quote, amazing incompetence. They got an American killed and two others wounded and a former POTUS nearly killed, or something else much, much worse for America. Which one do you choose tonight? And again, it's hard for me to believe gross negligence is at play here. And I hope I'm wrong. I really, really do. I don't want to be the conspiracy theory guy. I don't want to believe the worst that could be out there. However, none of this really adds up to make any sense at all. Let's go back to the phones. And out in Lubbock, we've got Lee. Lee, welcome to the Chad Hasty Show. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. And you said it perfectly. It's incredible to believe that the Secret Service has become what it is. It is. I just couldn't believe it when I saw it, and then I saw it 100 yards away.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Let's put it this way: if this were a movie, you would be walking away from the movie going, "Come on." Yeah, they're not going to secure a building 100 yards away. Give me a break.
But I do have a suggestion for the Secret Service, because I noticed watching the videos on this stuff. I saw a couple of them that hadn't worked on their muscle memory to draw and reholster their weapon. Yeah. So they're wasting a lot of time on that. And then maybe they shouldn't all wear dark shades, because most of them were worried about their eyewear falling off and what they're supposed to be doing, taking care of the United States.
They looked pretty cool, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they look cool.
They look
Those
cool.
are the earpiece, but it doesn't help you if you don't know what the hell you're doing. No, but my main point is that you said if it was a movie, you'd walk out. It's incredulous. I don't know. Are they that incompetent, or are they that?
And here's the deal.
They set it up.
And here's the deal. If they're that incompetent, if you're Joe Biden right now, are you looking around going, guys, right? I mean, if you're
true.
Anyone who's a protectee of the Secret Service, I mean, if they're going to blow it like that, and again, I do give, the on the ground team who covered up, the former president. They did their job. They got on top of them, real quick, and they did the pancake deal where they got them on the ground and they covered them up. Good for them.
Just quickly, I really think this is a result of DEI, and the standards just going down, and the people on the ground, they're doing an awesome job. And I just think the president, God has a purpose for him. That's why he saved him.
I mean, yeah.
And I think that's what was weighing on the president's mind as he was walking into the convention, the weight of what happened and what's going on with him. That he knows that, he has a mission. And we should all pray for our country and for him. And hopefully things will turn around and we might win a couple now.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Lee, thank you very much. Great call as always. Have a great day out there. 806-680-2790. Gordo weighing in. First-time listener, long-time texter. Can you host a Mystery Science Theater 3000 listener party when Sleepy Joe and the Dirty Libs have their convention? Last week when you did an abbreviated version, it was greatness. We won't be on the air for it because they're going to speak so late. We'll be off the air, so... But it's not a bad idea. It's but none of the really good speakers will be until later in the evening, and God help Joe. I don't think he's going to be speaking until after 9 p.m. So who knows how that's going to go. Plus, do we really want to hear that much of Joe Biden and the Democrats? I mean, that might be punishing a lot of people. 806-680-2790. You can send in your thoughts on the text line. Weigh in on any of the topics that you'd like to. Another texter says, I don't know why we're surprised law enforcement disappoints in 9 out of 10 mass shootings and school shootings. Your average law enforcement officer sees way more action than a Secret Service agent. Well, we should be surprised because of what happened. And again, I would say that law enforcement, when it comes to mass shootings, the mass shootings that you hear about is often when law enforcement doesn't do their job or they fail to do their job. But there are many other circumstances involving shootings where law enforcement, they do their job. And when it comes to the U.S. Secret Service, there are many times where they are tasked with, obviously with defending somebody, and they do their job. Did you hear about the shooting earlier today? There was we don't have all the details yet, but there was a person killed near the RNC perimeter in Milwaukee. It's out of Fox News. The shooting happened just outside the convention security perimeter area. A man was shot and killed by police today. The shooting happened near 13th and West Village Street, about 2 miles from the arena. Milwaukee police confirmed to Fox that an outside police agency was involved in the shooting, whatever that means. A Columbus police source told Fox that 5 of the department's officers fired their weapons and 1 person was killed. One witness told Fox News the man who was shot lived in a nearby homeless camp. The witness added the deceased was brandishing a knife when he was shot. So we'll see if anything new comes out of that. That happened earlier today. When we come back, your phone calls, your text, and much more.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, day 3 of the RNC, bringing you all of the latest for the party. What's going on here? Clay, the guest list is phenomenal. Give us some of what we got.
Stacked. You will barely be able to keep up. David Sachs, one of Elon's top assistants. Dave McCormick running in Pennsylvania. Senator Haggerty. Senator Sullivan. We are going to be having a heck of a time. Wednesday edition. Come hang with us on Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Tomorrow morning at 11.
All right, back on the Chad AC Show as we begin to wrap things up. On this Tuesday, Bill in North Carolina weighing in, wondering if you've seen the video on X, people pointing at the shooter, showing the shooter and trying to get police to look. Yes, I've seen it. And again, it adds to my, there's got to be more to this. I mean, it's just, you add that in with everything else. It just makes it unbelievable that this was just a fluke or a great security breakdown when you have the U.S. Secret Service involved. 806-680-2790. That is 806-680-2790. On the app chat, we've had a few app chats come in on David weighing in on the app chat asking, what are your thoughts on J.D. Vance's past comments on Donald Trump? Didn't seem like he was a big fan of Trump years ago. What impact do you think that'll have? I don't think it'll have any impact whatsoever. I think, one, it shows that Donald Trump is not someone, because Trump knew about the comments, or at least the Trump camp knew about the comments that J.D. Vance had made about Donald Trump and about MAGA and everything else. J.D. Vance saying that, look, he was tricked by the media. That he I guess, learned more about Trump and everything else. I think that's the same case for a lot of people. I think that's going to endure Vance's story for a lot of people, and maybe even have Vance be able to go out and tell some of the independent voters or maybe those on the fence, hey, I understand. I was iffy on Trump too. I was iffy about the guy as well, but he won me over because of his policies. He won me over because of what he did. I was one of those who questioned Donald Trump too long ago. And guess what? There were a lot of Republicans who were like that. So I don't hold that against J.D. Vance. I really don't. I think that, he probably had his own opinion of Trump, and maybe was not a big fan of it. Listen, there were a lot of Republicans who didn't like Trump at the very beginning of at the very beginning of Trump's run. A lot of people who did not like, a lot of conservatives who were not big Trump fans at the very beginning. And a lot of people who changed their mind. There are a lot of people who did not change their mind on Donald Trump. J.D. Vance changed his mind, and Donald Trump didn't hold it against him. I think that shows a lot from Donald Trump. There's this narrative out there that Donald Trump demands that you always be loyal and that you always be kind and you never take a swipe at him, and that he's going to hold everything against everybody. And clearly that's not true. Marco Rubio is speaking tonight. Ted Cruz, I think, is tonight as well, maybe tomorrow night. There are a lot of former politicians, former foes of Trump that are working with him. And I think it shows a lot about them and Trump, and the fact that, during campaign season is campaign season and we're going to move on. And Trump is trying to unify the party. So, no, I'm fine with it. I'm good. Another texter weighing in. Chad, did you get EA Sports College Football 25 yet? Have you been able to play? I dabbled a little bit last night, yes. After the convention, I did get it on the PS5, absolutely. And yes, I may have played a few games. Haven't been able to go all in yet and try out everything on the college football 25. But yes, absolutely. I did purchase it, and I did get to play a little bit last night. My wife was thrilled about that, and I'm sure she'll be thrilled every time I fire up the PS5 to play it. But yeah, I also recognize I'm really the kicking in the game. It used to be the last time I played NCAA EA NCAA football. I think it was where basically you would press one button for which direction you wanted to go, or the which direction you wanted to kick, or how good of a kick you wanted to get it right in the middle, and then you would kick. You'd press another button, for how far you wanted to kick it. Yeah, totally different in this one. I remember my dad long ago when we would play the Madden football, and eventually it got to the point where my dad went, I liked it better when only two buttons were involved in the video game. That's how I felt a little bit of that last night, playing the college football 25, going, whoa, wait a minute. This is completely different. All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Stay safe. God bless you all. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5 p.m.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media.